What's up, everybody? I'm back for another video. For today, I'm going to be talking about my list of the top 20 best albums of 2020. So let's get into it. So when it came to 2020, I was able to find a whole lot of albums that made it onto this list. And so let's first start off with my first album, which is Martha Wash with Love and Conflict. I really enjoyed this album. I love how when it came to Martha Wash, she approached this record. This record is a blues, soul, and pop album. I really enjoyed it. When it comes to Martha Wash, she is incredibly underrated as a singer, and I think people should continue to keep supporting her and giving her more and more recognition because she can sing. Like, she has an amazing voice, and I really enjoyed a whole lot of the content on this album. I enjoyed everything from the production choices that she chose from start to finish. I enjoyed a lot of the lyrics on this album. I just overall enjoyed this album as a whole. It was a very, very good record, and I definitely recommend you guys go check this out. So then we go on to the next album, which is by Luke James. I really enjoyed this record as well. I like how he approached this record. I love the vocals on this album. Like I said, when it comes to Luke James, he never misses when it comes to his vocals. His vocals are always there. I enjoy what he did with this record in terms of the different genres I was able to hear, standard R&B versus alternative R&B, and I just love the ways that he plays around with the different melodies on this album. I love, of course, the vocals, the way he arranged them. It was just an overall good album. Then we go to the next album on my list, which is by the Budos band. I think that's how you pronounce their name. But I enjoyed this album. I love the feel of this album. Like, this album gave me a 70s feel. Like, I really enjoy the trumpets and the production choices. And this is an instrumental album, so there's no singing on it. But I enjoyed this album as a whole from start to finish. It's a really good record. So then we go to the next album, which is from Gregory Porter. I enjoyed this record. I enjoy his voice when it comes to him singing. I just enjoy his overall presence with what he brings to an album. I love the jazz, R&B touches that he brings to these songs on this record. It's an incredible record. I really enjoyed it. Then we go to the next record, which is from Thundercat. And I love how this record was approached when it comes to Thundercat. He's really good when it comes to his production choices and his experimentation with different genres and how he's able to blend them together. Like on this record, I got R&B, I got electronica. At one point, I was getting jazz, I was getting neo soul. I just enjoyed this as a whole. I just love the way he approached this record. Just, it's a good album overall. And I like the different features that he included on this record that kind of bring different presence to these tracks. I just overall enjoyed this. Like, this is a really good record, and I like the sounds that he experimented with on this album. Just an overall good record that you check out. So then we go to Brenda Nicole Moore. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I recently discovered her. I was on iTunes, and it was in the R&B section, and the minute I heard this album, I said, it's definitely going to be making my list. When it comes to this album, I really enjoy what she brought to the table. I love the jazz and neo soul elements that come on this record. I love her voice as well. I just like this album as an overall, and I love the lyrical content on this album as well. Overall, it's just one of my favorites. Then we go to Sam Sparrow. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I really enjoyed this record as well. I love how this album reminds me of like the 80s and how I'm getting like that New Jack Swing sound with synth, and then I'm getting the 80s R&B touches. Like, I really enjoyed this album from start to finish. I just love what he brought to the table when it came to this record. Like I said, I love his feature that he does with We Are King. I enjoy We Are King. They are one of my favorite R&B groups. I love their production choices, and I love their harmonies. I just love them as a whole. And I like what he brought to the table from the interludes down to all these songs. I just enjoyed this record. Definitely recommend you guys go check out this one. And of course, I enjoyed his vocals. Of course, like I said, I enjoy his production choices when it came to this record. So definitely go check this album out as well. So then we go to Alain Havas. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I enjoyed this record. So I recently had discovered her a few years back, and I really enjoyed her as a whole, and I like what she brought to the table in terms of her music and her lyrical content. And I really enjoyed this album from start to finish. I love the lyrical content that she brought to the table with the different subject matter that she was talking about on each of these songs. Just overall, I enjoyed this record. I love the instrumentation. I love the um, aspects that she brought to the table with each of these songs with her neo soul approach. I just enjoyed this album as a whole. Definitely one of my favorites of the year. And I like the story that she's painting from the very beginning to the very end of the album. It's just overall one of my favorites. Then we go to Marie. I really enjoyed her album as well. And I recently discovered her on iTunes. And I enjoyed this album from start to finish. This is definitely one of my favorite albums of the year. Her voice to me reminds me of her when she sings. And I like the different production choices that she chose on this record, the way everything was arranged. I like the lyrical content. I like the different moments that appeared on this record. Just overall, one of my favorite albums as a whole. I just enjoyed it. So then we go to the next album, which is from Fana Hughes. And shout out to Fana Hughes for liking my photo on Twitter. I really enjoyed your album from start to finish. It's one of my favorites of the year. I love the different genres that she plays around with, from R&B to neo soul to this acoustic feel towards the later half of the album. I just enjoyed this album as a whole, and I love the lyrical content. Just one of my favorite albums, and I love your voice. Like, I just enjoyed this album. So then we go to Duran Bernard. I really enjoyed his album, and definitely go check out his music. This album, just from start to finish, I love his personality when it comes to this record, the lyrical content, the production choices, from the R&B to the funk to just so many elements on this album I really enjoyed. So definitely, like I said, definitely one of the best albums of the year. And I definitely can tell who he's influenced by. I know he's influenced by Prince and Little Richard. And you definitely can hear the influence when it comes to his artistry. I like his voice. Like, Duran Bernard can sing. Like, he's very, very talented. And I recommend you guys definitely go check out his music, and definitely go check out this album. This is just one of my favorite albums of the year. So then we go to Mariah Carey's The Rarities. I enjoyed this album from start to finish. You guys know I'm a huge Mariah Carey fan. I love her music, and I enjoyed this album from the moment it came out, from the first track down to the last track. It's an incredible compilation album where she's giving us unreleased music from her vault. I just enjoyed it. I just really enjoyed it. Some of these tracks I have heard before because they were on online, but there were some tracks that I did not hear before that made it onto this album. And just, it's an incredible album. We got to see her evolution when it comes to production, when it came to vocals, when it came to a lot of different things, lyrical content, etc. And I just enjoyed this album as a whole. We know Mariah Carey can sing, hands down. We just know that. And she proved that on this record, that she can do so much with her voice, and it's just incredible. And I love this album. Like I said, definitely one of my favorites of the year. Definitely, you guys go check out The Rarities. Just one of my favorite albums of the year. So then we go to Fire Sign. I enjoyed Braxton Cook's album. This album from start to finish is one of my favorites. I love the instrumentation, his vocals, the lyrical content when it comes to this album. I just enjoyed this album as a whole. It's just a playthrough. Just one of my favorites, and just, it's incredible when it comes to what he was able to do, from the R&B touches to the jazz touches to the neo soul elements that come into play, and the saxophone. Just incredible, just incredible. So then we go to the next album from Raheem Duvon. I think that's how you pronounce his name. And shout out to you again. And just, I enjoyed this album from start to finish. One of my favorite albums of the year. I love the lyrical content. The vocals on this are incredible. The production choices, the lyrical content, just, it's an incredible album. I really enjoyed it from start to finish, and definitely go check out his music. Just incredible. Just definitely one of my favorite albums of the year. Just, I love what I was hearing on this album, and definitely an album that you guys definitely go check out. So then we go to the next album, which is from Tony Braxton. I enjoyed this album as well. It's been incredible to see how over the years she has evolved. A living legend in the game. Just, I enjoyed this album from start to finish. I love all the different production choices, the vocals that she gave on this album. I just enjoyed this album from beginning to end, and this album is a playthrough. Again, just incredible and one of my favorites of the year. And I love the different elements that she plays around with. At the beginning of the album, we have this disco dance section at the very beginning of the album. And then as it goes from the first track down to the last track, you see the different elements of R&B that she plays around with. And it's just incredible. So then we go to Victoria Monet's Jaguar. Now, I understand that this is part of a series of 3 that will make the debut album. So by default, I'm just going to just put it on this list. But I enjoyed Jaguar from start to finish. Like I said, when it comes to Victoria Monet, she knows how to write a song. And I like the approach that she chose on this album, where we were getting 70s disco at one point, then we were getting 70s funk. Just, it's incredible. And I love the R&B elements that she included on this album. So it's an incredible album from start to finish. And I enjoyed this record. And definitely go check out her music. And like I said, the very first time I discovered Victoria Monet was from her EP days. So just to see how she has evolved over the years, it's incredible. So then we go to Vivian Green's album, and shout out to Vivian Green on Twitter. I really enjoyed your record from start to finish. One of my favorite albums of the year, from the very first track down to the last track. I enjoyed the R&B neo soul elements that were on this album. I just enjoyed this album from start to finish. I love the vocals. I love the lyrical content. It's just one of my favorite albums of the year. Just as an incredible body of work. And I definitely recommend you guys go support Vivian Green's music. So then we go to B7 by Brandy. This is one of my favorite albums of the year, down to the production choices, down to the lyrical content, down to the vocal stacking, harmonies, and arrangements that Brandy is known for. Just, it's an incredible body of work. And I definitely recommend you guys go check out B7. Definitely one of the best albums of the year. Just, it's an incredible body of work where she got very personal on this record. And just, it's an incredible body of work. I have reviewed this album on my channel, which you guys can go check out. So you guys definitely go check out this album, B7. I enjoyed it from start to finish. So then we go to Avant's album. The first time I heard Avant's album, I said, this is definitely going to be making my best albums list, hands down. One of my favorite albums of the year. I love Avant's voice. I love the production choices that he chose for this album. I love the lyrics. I enjoy the vocals. Of course, like I said, I love Avant's voice, and Avant has some classic albums under his belt. And so I definitely recommend you guys go check out this album, because this album is a straight playthrough from the first track down to the last track. I love the different elements with the modern R&B to the old school R&B. I just enjoyed this album, and I definitely recommend you guys go check out this album. So then we go to the number one choice, which is Lettucey's The Wild Card. I really enjoyed Lettucey's album from start to finish. This is one of my favorite albums of the year, hands down. I love the different production choices that she chose. I love Lettucey. I think she's incredibly underrated, and I think people should be paying more and more attention to her as a singer. Like, I enjoy Lettucey. I love Lettucey's music. I love what she brings to the table when it comes to R&B. I just enjoy Lettucey as a whole. Just incredible. And I enjoyed this album from beginning to end. Just one of my favorite albums, period, of the year. And it was incredible. And I definitely recommend you guys go listen to this album. This album is a playthrough from beginning to end. It's just one of my favorite albums. And that's the end of my video. Let me guys know what were your favorite albums of the year. And until then, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all in the next video. Take care. Peace.